Sup, guys? Back for another um, another stream with a big USC win on Saturday, and I'm gonna go over the game in a little bit. But yeah, great win over Nebraska. Won in the last um, couple of seconds, but um, yeah, they had a chance in the end. Um, to tie it, uh, and then threw an interception. Um, Raiola will be. I think he'll. I think he will get better as time goes on. Just a interesting first year for the guy. Yeah, I think he'll get better as time goes on. Matt Rule seems to be a good college coach. Not so much of a NFL coach. But yeah, it was 28-20. Um, Jaden Maiava balls out. He threw for 3 touchdowns, ran in for another one, and then got the dub. Um, and I know that USC fans are like, "Oh, we should have switched him in earlier," and I'm like, this was a good time to switch him. I think right now because I don't think against any of the other teams that we would have been in the same position as we were with Miller Moss, um, because like man, he almost threw like 4 interceptions there. Um, he had one pick six. Jade Maiava did, um, but he has a he has a good arm. He has a he has pretty he's pretty athletic. He can run the ball. So I I don't know what this is. It's like, is it that Lincoln Riley can't coach a drop back passer, like a pure pocket passer, that he keeps running RPOs for for Miller Moss, and it just works better with Maiava, maybe. Um, but Maiava did really well. He won his first game, so let's see in next week against UCLA. Um, let's see how he does, but still hoping for his success. Still hoping for Miller Moss's success. I think it's better and more fun to root for guys rather than hoping for them to fail. And I think that should be a something that a lot of people should take. So rooting for both of them. Wish that this situation wouldn't have gone down the way it did. Um, but hey, both of them have a chance to ball out next year wherever they end up. If they stay with USC or end up transferring. But as for the game itself, it seemed like I saw a couple people saying like that it seemed like the two most unlucky teams this year were going up against each other, and it just seemed like whoever was the unluckiest. Um, and I think Nebraska really got that because they could have had 4 picks this game. And not to say that if they did get those 4 picks, they would have won, but it was a lot of it was a lot of passing and um, yeah, Maiava threw 35 times and Woody Marks got 19 carries. So I think that Woody Marks is still our best player. I've always thought that. So giving him the ball more would probably be better for our team going forward. I just, man, and Maiava needs to cut down on those potential mistakes for UCLA because I can't stand losing to UCLA. Cannot, cannot stand it. Like Notre Dame, sure, Notre Dame is a historic football franchise, football team, but UCLA, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. So Maiava needs to cut down on those potential mistakes. Should run it with Woody Marks a bit more, Quentin Joyner a bit more too. I think Joyner got 7 carries for 19 yards. So just run the ball more, really. Um, but hopefully this week against UCLA, we should uh, we should win pretty easily. Hopefully, because if we don't, good goodness, the I don't know, man. Um, a lot of things will go haywire. We would need to beat Notre Dame, who's 9-1 right now. So, and I think we can. I think we can beat Notre Dame and UCLA. I think that we have been in every. We should have won most of these games. It's just something about our team, just the unluck, the unluckiness of it all, you know. Um, but yeah, Nebraska should be better next year. I think that they're also like a year or two from being real contenders. I think that uh, Raiola is he has a good arm. He makes good decisions. He doesn't get rattled really easily. It's just it's probably just his inexperience in the college realm. So next year, I think he'll make a big jump. Anyway, um, yeah, on to next week for USC. We're going to the Rose Bowl, so um, it's not it's not that bad. But USC is a heavy favorite, as we should be, um, and it just seems like. And then for Jade Maiava, I think this will be the Nebraska game will be a good testing ground. I think he'll be better against UCLA, much as he's just gotten his feet wet as a starter for USC and this level of competition. So, I mean, UCLA is 4-6. I don't think they've had as much unluckiness as they got massacred by Washington. They lost to Penn State pretty easily. They lost to Minnesota. They barely beat Rutgers. Um, they got blown out by Oregon, which, I mean, Oregon's really good this year. So, and they lost pretty easily to LSU. So, I think that we should beat UCLA and we should beat them pretty easily, but the way this season is going, I'll make no promises. Um, yeah, but for who I think should win is USC pretty easily. Even though UCLA is at home, it's still in LA, so um, it'll be practically a a I think both home games are practically neutral games. Although there are more USC fans than UCLA fans, so anyway, yeah, USC over UCLA probably like 31-17 or 31-24 because we have to keep that one score game streak going. But yeah, on to the NFL. Last week I talked about on the Monday night stream, but just to go over it, I got most of these games right on my predictions, except for the Chiefs and the 49ers. I thought the 49ers would win. And I had a feeling that Buffalo would win, but then I was like, I have to see the Chiefs lose to believe they will lose. And they lost it wasn't easy for Buffalo, but 9 points. So Eagles Commanders. Yeah, I had a feeling the Eagles would win just because the Commanders are still like a year out. Steelers Ravens. I had a feeling this one too. I just had a feeling that like the Steelers offense isn't that well. I shouldn't say that, but I thought the Ravens defense was just too bad, and the Steelers defense was the highest paid and pretty good. And it was and these games usually go down to the last minute because they're AFC North. Lions, Jaguars. I had a feeling about this one, especially with Trevor Lawrence out and Mac Jones in, because the week before they played the Vikings, and they even with Sam Darnold playing the worst game he's played in a long time, they couldn't win. And Mac Jones couldn't win. So, yeah, I had a feeling this was going to happen. Rams, Patriots. Patriots are getting better, but they're still losing. So, Saints, Browns. I had a feeling that the Saints would have a comeback game against the Browns because the Browns are the Browns this year. So, Colts, Jets. I had a feeling about this one, mostly because Anthony Richardson was coming back, and the Jets are. It was just they're just a dumpster fire right now. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what's happening with him. Their owner, Woody Johnson, wanted to bench him in week 4. So don't know what's going on with them. Vikings, Titans, I had a feeling about this one. And the score may deceive you. It was not that close. And for the people going, oh, what about the penalty in the end zone on 4th down? Okay, but you still weren't winning that game. You still had Will Levis, so it would have just been a 16-13 game, and still you would have looked cooked. So the Vikings rolled pretty easily. Dolphins, Raiders. Dolphins won pretty easily. Like I said before, they're getting back on track. And with Tua being out for those 4 or 5 weeks, I was like, they're just starting their season I've said that a couple times before. They were just starting their season week 5, 6, and now they're getting really back on track. Still don't think they'll make the playoffs because they still have such a high um, hill to climb. Bears Packers. Oh gosh, I feel bad for Bears fans, but Packers still own you. Um, Broncos Falcons. Gosh, who has fallen farther than the Falcons, man? These past 2 weeks that they were on top, like they were on top of the world. Now they're getting blown out by the Broncos, man. And I talked about Seahawks 49ers, and I talked about Chiefs Bills. Um, Chargers Bengals. The Chargers tried so hard to give that game away, but the Bengals tried harder. um, Texans Cowboys. Man, I had a really big feeling about this because I had a feeling like it was going to be a bounce back game for CJ Stroud and the Cowboys, just especially without Dak Prescott. It's just too high of a hill to climb, and goodness gracious, man. And people are already talking about maybe getting Deion Sanders as coach, even though he's expressed no interest in going to coaching in the NFL. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Maybe maybe they hired Cliff Kingsbury from the Commanders. That would be hilarious. But yeah. On to next week, week 12. Tomorrow, we have the Steelers Browns. The Steelers should win that pretty easily. Yeah, the Browns, man, have they fallen far. And I don't think it's much their coach's fault. It's just that they put all their eggs in the Deshaun Watson basket, and he somehow gets good after a full year last year of being horrible. So, yeah, Steelers should roll pretty easily. Buccaneers Sunday, Buccaneers Giants. Buccaneers should win easily. I don't think that the Giants. They're benching Daniel Jones this week, so maybe they'll have some spark offensively. But against the Buccaneers, it's just I think the Buccaneers should win. Chiefs Panthers. I think the Chiefs should win pretty easily. Even the Panthers have have won 2 games recently with Bryce Young. They're still not going to get past the Chiefs. Yeah, that should be pretty easy for the Chiefs. They might just go into cruise control mode for that week. Any given Sunday, because it is an NFL team, but I don't see any chance of the Panthers winning against the Chiefs. Cowboys, Commanders. The Commanders should bounce back with this one. Don't know what's going on with the Cowboys now, especially with Cooper Rush in there. The Commanders should bounce back after a 2-loss streak, and Jaden Daniels should have a bounce back game. Patriots Dolphins. I think the Dolphins should win this one. The Patriots are just now getting into gear. I just don't think that they have enough pieces to beat the Dolphins. especially this year's Patriots. Maybe if they get a better offensive line, more wide receivers, they might be able to challenge the Dolphins for that number 2 spot, but right now the number 2 spot in the AFC East is pretty locked up with the Dolphins. Um, yeah. Uh, Texans, Titans. The Texans should win. I think they pretty much own the AFC South. Um, Will Levis, gosh, doesn't doesn't. I don't think he's the guy. You know, especially after this amount of time. Now, can he get better? Probably in another year in the system, but this year he's just not the guy. Um, and the Texans should keep on rolling. I think that this is another step in the bounce back for CJ Stroud. Like, they're lucky that they won so many games when he was in this sophomore slump mode, but he should get back on track against the Titans. Um, Lions, Colts. Oh boy, um, this might just be another Jaguars game. Um, I don't think I see anything that the Colts do really well. Um, and this is a tough second outing for Anthony Richardson after the coming back from being benched. So Lions should win this one fairly easily. Vikings, Bears. I think the Vikings should win this one. The Bears' offensive line and their offense is just putrid. Even though their defense is pretty good, I think that the Bears will just. I don't think they'll win this one. Um, Even though they almost beat the Packers, I don't think they'll do that much against the Vikings. So Vikings pretty easily. I'm maybe like a 27-14 game or like a 27-17 game. I don't think it'll be that close. Um, Broncos, Raiders, Broncos. um, Broncos should win pretty easily. Their defense just too much for the offense, and the Raiders' defense is not all that it's cracked up to be anymore. Yeah, Broncos by a pretty easy margin. Step into the competition for Bo Nix for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Still think it's going to be Jaden Daniels because Jaden has been a lot more consistent than Bo Nix. But if Bo Nix keeps playing like he did last week, then it's going to be a real conversation at the end of the year. Packers, 49ers. Oh, boy. This is a hard one because I still think the 49ers are pretty good. McCaffrey's on his second week of being back. And the Packers historically have not had a good time against the 49ers. But I think the Packers should win this one. Though I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers pull it out. But Jordan Love just needs to cut down on the interceptions and the pretty bad interceptions. I'm going to pick the Packers, but tentatively pick the Packers. Cardinals, Seahawks. I'm a Cardinals fan, so I really want the Cardinals to win, but I like the Seahawks, especially because of Pete Carroll. I liked Pete Carroll, and then they hired a younger version of Pete Carroll, it seems, with Mike McDonald. So, anyway, yeah, I think that the Cardinals should win. um, especially since the Seahawks have had this like up and down season. You really don't know which team you're gonna get, and I think the Cardinals have been that for a little bit too. But um, I think the Cardinals should win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks pull it out again. But the Cardinals just seem like the better team right now. Um, it just seems the Seahawks are kind of on the rebuild, but kind of not. So I have a feeling this is going to be like a 22-20 type game. Uh, Next, the Eagles Rams. Eagles should win this game, but with Nick Sirianni, I don't think that there's a more than or less than 50% chance that the Rams to shock it. Um, I think that on most days with most coaches, the Eagles are just too talented and the Rams are just too banged up right now. But the Rams are getting healthier um, and it should be a good game. But I think Saquon Barkley puts his thumb on the scale again and wins it for the Eagles this week. So Eagles should win. Um, and then for Monday night, it's going to be the Ravens Chargers. Uh, my mind is telling me the Ravens should win because they've looked better, but my mind is also telling me that the Chargers have a better defense, and I think it's going to be a lot like the Bengals Chargers game last week, where like one team just goes out to an early lead and then just blows it. Um, like the Ravens and the Bengals are really similar this year. They have really good offenses and pretty mid to not so good defenses. Um, the Ravens have just been on the other side of those contests. They've been winning, and if they had lost both of those contests, they would be 5-6. Um, so it's just one of those things where the Ravens have gotten luckier. Well, I say luckier, but they've had the ball last on most of those times, and um, I think it will be a pretty similar game to yeah the but Harbaugh, John Harbaugh and Jim Harbaugh, they're the brothers. They're both better coaches than Zach Taylor. I'm just going to say that right now. So could go either way. I think it's going to be a lot like their Super Bowl. um, their Super Bowl early years ago. That and also that is early lead, and then the other team came back. So I think the Ravens should win this one, but I might pick the Chargers in this one. I might pick the Chargers because the Ravens defense is just mid. So I might pick the Chargers. But after that, that concludes it for next week. Um, yeah. Hopefully next week's games will be as entertaining as last week's games. I'm going to be rooting for USC against UCLA. Um, Beat the Bruins week, the UCLA Hate week, and all that. Thank you guys for watching. See you all next week. I'll probably do the same thing with the Ravens Chargers game as I did the last week, the Texans Cowboys game. I'll probably stream the Monday night game Um, so yeah, see you guys then. See you guys next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. So thank you all for watching. See you all next week. Goodbye.